Blessings, dear hearts. Thank you so much for joining me live today in welcoming a very sacred and super special galactic brother that I have patiently been waiting for this wonderful day so that we can bring him on and he can share the wisdom of his truly enriched walk of ascension with us. So please help me welcome Jerry Sargeant of Star Magic Healing to this Ascension Hour. Welcome, 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 Jerry. Thank you so much for being available today to come on this show.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Absolutely. And before we start, as usually, we're just going to allow the sacred space to bless us so we can move into it, because Jerry for sure has a lot to share with us. So let us just ground in that space of the true divine heart. And I'm going to ask all of us to just relax back, put our feet flat on the floor, and let us just place our hands on our hearts, closing the eyes, becoming very relaxed in this space of this now, welcoming the golden now, nowhere to be but right here, right now, very present and in a receptive mode. As I welcome us now to take a nice deep in-breath from this horizontal plane into this heart space and holding the breath as we each connect with that golden, sacred, crystalline diamond heart inside and feeling the depth of the love from its I am aligned within and releasing that breath. Taking another deep in-breath from this horizontal plane back into the heart space and holding the breath as we each now connect from that crystalline diamond heart all the way down to the heart of Sophia Gaia, to her crystalline diamond glorious heart, and releasing the breath from heart to heart. Let us now take another deep in-breath from this horizontal plane back into the center of our crystalline diamond glorious heart. And as holding the breath, I ask each of us to draw the attention upwards now through the higher chakras, extending all the way up towards the great central sun and behind the great central sun into the source of all creation, into its heart, its divine presence, and releasing that breath upwards. And this final in-breath, drawing the breath from the horizontal plane all the way back to the center of each of our crystalline diamond heart. And we're holding the breath, connecting in this vertical and horizontal axis, and connecting into the sphere of its luminous, gracious presence. And with that, breathing from inside out through the sphere of light, expanding it all the way out to all of our outer bodies, and allowing it to easily, naturally move into this biosphere of light. Recognizing that each of us are completely enclosed in this gracious, glorious, dazzling, crystalline light. And anything that is less than this divine perfection from the source of its creation will not interact or interfere in any which way, as there's only pure awareness, pure consciousness here. And the wisdom in which our beloved dear brother Jerry Sargeant will share is from the wisdom of his divine truth, that we're ready to receive on this blessed hour. And so be it. And let us begin. Thank you so much. So, dear Jerry, welcome. And thank you for being here. And thank you for coming to Florida at a very, very, I would say, potent time, as this time is morphing into a whole different level of its consciousness. And through your walk of ascension, I want to just bring you to right here, right now, where you are, you in relation to your I am within this now time frame. Where has your wisdom brought you to in this golden moment? Let us start with there. Yeah, we're going to get deep today.
It's a great question. Right now, for me, it's about being in this present state of awareness and choosing response over reaction every single time, and doing my utmost in every single encounter to come from that space of love, zero judgment, pure acceptance, be responsive, which is often no response at all, and just allow everything around me to do what it's doing. For me, just to be the observer of everything around me. And then from within that kind of space, having as much clarity as possible to be able to take the best course of action, because things are moving so fast with what we're doing, you know, with star magic. Everything's growing in so many different directions, and it's kind of like you've got to hold on. But if you're holding on, you're never really in a good state. So you've got to kind of get into a space where you can hold on but still be present. So ride that wave and let all of the stuff that's happening happen, and within that kind of container, make really good choices, you know, so that we can operate efficiently and effectively and help as many people as possible. That's where I am right now. Yeah, within myself. Yeah.
Thank you for that. So the observer and the great witness in you in this now is very present. Is that so?
As present as I can possibly be.
So let me ask you, within that presence, there are many gifts that are unfolding within it. What are some of these gifts that even like 3 months ago, even 6 months ago, wasn't as potent in its presence, Jerry?
Oh boy, I mean, you know, every single day it's changing.
Yeah.
So we do a lot of group healings. I mean, we're here in Miami to do a group healing Friday and Saturday this week. We're in Colorado on Saturday doing one. We've got a whole tour that we're on. And we only started these group healings about 8 months ago. Okay, we started doing them actually in Romania a few years ago, but for some reason we never took them elsewhere on the planet. But then last year we were guided to, and we started the first one, and it was powerful. And you think, how can it get any more powerful than this? But every single time we do one, the strength and the power and the frequency is elevating and elevating, and the transformation's happening faster. And the things that take place in this space is unreal. And the coding, the way that we can code realities is happening really quickly. Like the way that we train people to heal is with code, because our bodies are biological computers. And for us to be able to facilitate the healing of another human being, we have to be able to tap into the back end of their biological computer. And that is frequency, it's code, it's geometry, it's information. And the speed at which this is happening and the level of coding is just becoming so much more intricate. And you wonder I always wonder to myself, and so do the team, because we always talk about it, how can it get any better than this? And every single time it does. There's always a new level. And one of the things that I say to everyone is never be complacent, always step on the gas, always try and not try, but reach that next level. Find it, go deeper into your heart and discover more knowledge, more wisdom, more information. There's always something extra to harness, to unlock. And I think a lot of people, they stay stagnant because if they reach a certain level and that level's amazing, but what's next?
So let me ask you about yourself, you as an individual outside the star magic healing. Within this present, what are some of the things that you're really noticing within yourself? Say, if it is through your own back-end system with the coding, what has become so present in that crystalline clarity that, again, like 3 months ago or 6 months ago, it was more on the peripheral, and now it's really come in the forefront?
Just again, it comes back to the very first question you asked me, my ability to be present and have clarity over every single situation. I used to be a very angry human being, as a child, as a teenager, 20s, 30s. I was an angry human. I grew up as an angry man. I was angry. And, I used to react at the simplest and smallest of little things, and now I find myself really being able to literally be in any space and not let anything derail me.
That muscle of anger has played its duration, and now this other muscle of acceptance, because I don't necessarily recognize it as patience, is the muscle of acceptance, which is one of our greater divine qualities coming in. So that has become really accessible in an easier way for you now?
Well, I think I would frame it differently, because the way that I would look at this is the muscle of anger has merged with the muscle of acceptance. It's not like one has got less strong, because that muscle of anger is still there, like finely tuned. If I wanted to, I could tap into that muscle of anger. And there may be a time during my life that I might need to. You never know what's going to happen. You might be in a fight situation, and if you're in a situation where you're being attacked, which can happen, you're not going to sit down and open your heart and try and hug someone. You're going to fight with everything you've got. So, like, all of these muscles are readily available. And I think this is really important for everybody to understand. Because a lot of people go on this spiritual journey and it's like, well, you just have to be love and light. Well, yes, we want to love everybody. We want to be highly conscious, self-aware. We want to be making really good choices and everything to be smooth and beautiful and lovely. But the reality is we're in a world that isn't 100% like that right there. So situations do arise where you have to be a little bit fierce, or you have to be a little bit savage. You might have to speak your truth. You might have to enforce your boundaries. So being able to tap into the frequency of all these different elements of you as a human being are very important. So like the acceptance muscle is highly, highly tuned. The anger muscle, the love muscle, like all of these different muscles, they're there and ready to be tapped into. It comes back to like dark and light, a lot of people just want to be in love and light. Well, you're never going to be powerful if you're in love and light. And if you go towards the darkness, you're never going to be powerful. The only way you're going to be really powerful is if you merge those two elements together. You love those dark aspects and you bring the darkness into the light and you alchemize them. Then you step into your true mastery. But whilst you're trying to push little parts of you away or dampen parts of you or not accept parts of you, you're going to be stuck.
Well, thank you for sharing that in the lens in which you shared it. It reminds me of, for example, when, in the, let's say 20s, somebody's in the gym a lot and really working those muscles. And maybe later on, past their 20s, those muscles are there. And it's not necessary in the gym so much, but if it needs to, it can get back in the gym and really build them and really use them. They're always there for, the purpose of lifting things and what have you. There's this wisdom that comes through this ascension walk, where these muscles that had been operated from where you were on your journey in that spectrum, that they sort of play their part, and then it comes another set of muscles, another set of muscles, another set of muscles are having the opportunity to now become known. And are you finding yourself within these muscles that the higher muscles from the higher realm are really coming in, that maybe perhaps you weren't as aware of them, but because of some of these have sort of are not being utilized, so there's more space that's open. There are these higher muscles from the consciousness that's now come online? And if they are, what are some of those that you're noticing on an individual level?
Yeah, for me, telepathy is the biggest thing. I mean, like, and healing, because obviously we facilitate healing of other humans as well as ourselves and animals and whatever. But and that muscle is always getting stronger. That level of healing, that level of facilitation is amplifying constantly, like we were talking about before. But for me, like on an individual level, like telepathy, it blows me away and surprises me and excites me so much, because whether I'm at home and I just hear the calling of my son, and I walk into his bedroom and talk to him about something, and he's like, yeah, I was just thinking about that. Or it's a phone call that I need to make to somebody, and they were like, I was just sitting down, writing this document, and I really needed to speak to you about it. Or I'm in a one of our deep in space ceremony, one of our plant medicine ceremonies, and there's people journeying, we're there 5, 10 seconds, 20 seconds before they even put their hand up for help or reach out for something. We're there, we know what they need. I mean, in all different situations, so many different capacities, this level of telepathy is just so spot on. And what I'm realizing as well, like this communication from the universe, this soft inner voice that is always communicating with you, that's guiding you, all the time. If you don't listen to it, like as you're kind of raising your levels of consciousness, it slams you so hard. There's been a couple of instances where I've got the message and either thought, I don't really need to do it now, or maybe I'll do it later because I'm a bit busy. And I've sort of like, I know it, but I've disregarded it or ignored it. The backlash on that is hard. It's getting harsher and harsher. So I think punishment's the wrong word, but definitely a lesson in, you really need to listen and you need to take action in the moment, not moments later. Because like when you do take action, it speeds things up more, and everything flows exactly how it's supposed to flow, and you're like, brilliant. When you don't, it puts the brakes on. It slows things down. So, and I like to be efficient and moving and fluid all the time. So yeah, these little things are important, a lot of them.
I'm glad you mentioned that, Jerry, because that the muscle of telepathy, on where we are on a consciousness and enough consciousness has risen, it's so much more easier accessible, and many more individuals are experiencing it. So it can become their more of a, what we would say, a natural sense, just like the sense of touch, just like the sense of hearing and what have you. So it's become this, not a new way, but a natural way that is already accessible to each of us. And I wanted to ask you also, from your lens on your ascension journey to this moment, this space that's really open up within more individuals in their in their consciousness and the awareness of consciousness that they're recognizing the healing that's taking place, you're finding the healing becoming even more, let's say, phenomenal. And are you finding it is because the readiness of individuals is that much greater and the resistance is less? Because we're certainly experiencing it on our end. It's just, it's like the resistance is not there. So their willing is so much greater. And the willing is not even coming from their human self anymore. It's really coming from their greater self. Are you finding that?
Yeah, I think again it depends on the group of people or the individuals, because there are some people that are just ready and boom, you know, it's so quick. There are other people that still need work. We have a process that we take people through to make them ready. You know, so whenever we go in to do healing, we'll make sure that they're tuned and primed so that it can work. You know, if you're going to go into someone that's just doesn't really want to be there, their husband or their wife has dragged them along for a healing, says, you need to go and see HoniB or you need to go and see Jerry. And they're like going, kicking and screaming. I mean, you've got your work cut out, you know, even if their higher self on some level wants them to have this healing, if that human being is not, you know, self-aware to some level and wanting to participate, it's going to be a tough ride. So, you know, again, it depends on the group of people, but yes, definitely in certain cases, yeah. On a general level, like in I suppose the community that are kind of coming for healing willingly, then definitely 100% yes. But yeah, if on the other part of the community they come in kicking and screaming, then it's still a journey for them, you know.
So what about your own individual self in this now that you have where you are you aware of an area within you that is calling you from within to move you into this next kind of octave of light, that there's this deep knowing and perhaps there's a bit of resistance, yet the greater knowing knows, okay, we got to go here, come along. Is there is that going on inside of you?
You know what, like right now, not so much, but
Okay.
going back about 6 months, yes. Like last year, I had probably one of the best healing experiences of my life. It was amazing. And it started in Las Vegas. There was like a crystal key that went into my heart and opened something up. Didn't really know what it was. I ended up flying from Las Vegas to Romania, connected with my girlfriend, and then went into this really deep healing experience and unlocked a part of me from when I was raped as a child, as a little baby. And once I unlocked that and got to love that little part of me, everything in my life changed in the most incredible way. And I thought I got to that so many times, you know, but there was always this little something within me that was like, it was just there, you know, and I could not fully accept love from other people. And so once this little piece of me had been brought into healing, my heart just exploded. And I literally, I don't know, it wasn't like shedding my skin. It was like shedding a million layers of skin in hours. And literally it was a massive, rapid transformation. And everybody through the company felt it, because no one had ever been able to love me properly because I didn't accept it, even my children and my girlfriend. And then after this had happened, everything exploded into joy and everything just went supersonic, you know, it was beautiful. Yeah. And then off the back of that, what happened is our team, like that we go and facilitate, you know, retreats and all of this sort of stuff with, the level of trust went up. I started to trust people more. So people started to step more into their power and all of this stuff. And then it was February this year, we're in Yosemite running a plant medicine retreat. And on one of the days I was sharing and I just burst out crying, you know, because I trusted everybody so much. And to allow myself to have that level of trust with everybody, it was something that I'd never experienced, and I could only cry because it was just so beautiful, you know. So yeah, I think, you know, that allowing like opening up to receive love and then moving into the trust from that has been my biggest thing over the last 6 months. And right now where I am in myself, I just feel so crystal clear. Like we flew to Colorado last Friday, and on the Wednesday evening, my son and I drank ayahuasca. So we went we drank the aya, then we drank the DMT. About 40 minutes later, she came in and rode us really hard, and she just brought up a load of stuff, and we were both sick for about 15 minutes, and I love puking on aya. So we cleared up this stuff, and since then, I mean, I just feel so clear, Honi. Like I don't know, just so nurtured, so clear, so happy. Even before that last week, but you know, it just topped it up even more, you know.
I
Yeah.
love I love what you brought up, dear Jerry, because this is very important for our audience here. That on this ascension journey, on the journey itself, there are these core areas that we have visited in the healing. And sometime maybe later we visited, and it was a deeper depth of the healing. And there has been that sort of awareness where I visited it, I thought I was done with it. Yet at that level, at that time, that's all it could really be reached, because the depth of it was even deeper. So it seems like within this past actually 9 months or so, there are several of us that were moved to this space where we can go to the depth of the core part that ties into the ignition of the divine love coming back in. And I also experienced that myself about 6 months ago, which had to do with the sexual abuse as a child when I was 1 year old, which was with my own father. And so all these years, there's been a lot of incredible, gorgeous healing around it. Yet the place that I entered was the most remarkable experience of divine love that freed, truly liberated me in the experience of the allowing of my divine self. And that's what I want to speak about. Your crystal clarity is so important, because there's the word of crystal clarity that comes from the thought field of the mental plane. There's a crystal clarity that comes from the emotional body and the body. That crystal clarity I recognize in which you're speaking is the clarity that is the byproduct when it's not just transformation, it's not just resurrection, where the homecoming has taken place. That true homecoming of the individual, the human self, back to its divine self, back to the I am. And the beauty, the grace is like no other. And only an individual can truly experience that, gift that to themselves. It can't ever come from anybody else, because that love is contained within its creation. So it's the creation being experienced again. And some individuals are being given the opportunity through some of these very, let's say, traumatic experiences that we experience in this incarnation. It's like the green light is here. Okay, here. Now you can really allow it. And that allowing it puts all the power aside. It takes it because it moves to grace. And the grace is so potent and it's vast. And so it's so clear. You can experience life in a clear way. And that's what you're speaking of in this now, right?
Yeah, I think, it just, this homecoming, I think, is just that love of oneself. And within that love of oneself, that recognition within every other human being that we're one, that unity. You made me think of something when you first spoke a minute ago, and I think it's really important to touch upon it. And I think that is vulnerability, like a lot of people don't like to be vulnerable, but that stepping into that space of vulnerability where you kind of lay everything on the table, that is the foundation for magic. That's the foundation for creation and growth. Whilst you are trying to mask your pain, hide it, run from it, stamp it out, pretend it's not there, whatever it is, you're kind of going down the wrong roads, because you're going to mask those cracks, and they're going to appear at some point later on when someone triggers you. So whatever it is that's going on within you, you've got to embrace it and sit with it and love it and hug it and dive into it and allow it to be present. And as you do that, it will just rise to the surface, and then you can deal with it. Then you can transmute it, own it, alchemize it, and let it be a part of you in a really healthy way, and not a way that, causes some kind of chaos or pain or suffering. Yeah. The vulnerability is beautiful.
Vulnerability is such an essential part of our ascension journey. And it goes from the earlier part of our ascension journey, a place that many of us have feared, to, as more of the wisdom has come in embraced, from fear to embrace, from fear to reverence for what it allows. So I found myself, Jerry, in this now. There's this phenomenal, continuous space of allowing. What's new for me, I would say new in terms of what my human self is experiencing, is this allowing that it's more new for it, because it was more resistance, not fully allowing. And after this, there's this fluidity in its allowing. So the vulnerability is looked at or viewed in the most gorgeous, like universal melody. It's become almost like an orchestra of gorgeous sound, the vulnerability moving into it. It doesn't have those hard edges. It's the space where it allows further for the grand master to reveal itself, so that the human self can experience its creation from source. And I must say, I'm loving the vulnerability that was never really embraced before. And I'm very thankful you brought that up.
Yeah, I think especially in the masculine too, because, men have always been told you can't cry, shut up, this, that, like, they've always been stamped out and made to look weak if they've been vulnerable. But actually, it was another man's vulnerability that triggered my vulnerability, that started my healing last year, when I watched someone give a talk on stage at an event, and he started crying, and this little crystal key floated through the whole audience and landed in my heart and cracked a walnut open. There was a walnut in my heart. The crystal key cracked it open, and tears started running down my right eye, and that's where it all started. So like vulnerability, I mean, it's like contagious, it's beautiful. If we can be more vulnerable, we're going to expose others to it and inspire them and give them the courage and the confidence to let them know, actually, it's okay for a man to cry, and a man to be vulnerable, and a man to speak their truth, and a man to be, present and loving and compassionate. None of that stuff is weak. That stuff is fierce and dangerous and beautiful,
Yeah, it's So beautiful and bountiful, really. There's a lot of bounty around it. And let me also ask you, in this fantastic journey, the ever evolving journey, at what point, Jerry, did it kick in that you're not going to fight this journey anymore and you're really going to fully accept it? Like, okay, like, because there is that for all of us. We've on this journey and then we get to this point of exhaustion. I don't want to go through it. And then it changes to like, oh, I'm accepting it and fully accepting, and the full right to the, last where the biological body wants to transition.
Yeah. So, I mean, my story is a bit of an interesting story, but there was a very particular moment. So up until 2004, I was I was doing criminal stuff. I was smuggling drugs, bank fraud, all sorts of different things. And then I was in a car crash, which a lady came through the window, smashed me in the face. She died. Another lady had her ankles cut off. It was a horrific car crash. Me and my family are in it. But when I got out of the car, I saw this lady's soul leave her body. That started my journey. And then it took me, loads of crazy things happened on this journey. But I moved to New Zealand. And when I moved back from New Zealand to England, I ended up going to the passport office to renew my passports. And I got arrested for something that happened back in 2007. And now we're in 2012, 2013. Anyway, they arrested me for conspiracy to defraud the Bank of Scotland and holding a false passport. So to cut a long story short, I was on bail for 2 years. And I ended up having to go to court. When I went to court, I was looking at a long time in prison. And all of this healing had been happening all the time. I'd been taken in a spaceship. I met some Lyran beings. I spent time in mystery schools. I'd been downloaded all these codes. The healing stuff was really taking off. But I was resisting it because it was much easier to make money the other way that I was doing it before. So anyway, I had to go to court. And I was saying to the universe, I said, listen, if you want me to do this journey, because I already knew the name would be Star Magic and all this stuff. I said, if you want me to do Star Magic, get me off this court case. Yeah. And I would, how was I going to get off it? But I just thought, let me just throw that out there anyway. So anyway, I went to court and I was stood in the dock, and the judge walked out, a man, and his two assistants. They were both female. And the one to his right-hand side, to my left, she had wings on her back. And she looked at me and she winked, and in my whole body was like electric, and like I was like, I'm going to get off this, but I still had to go through the hearing and everything. And the police and the prosecution, they gave their side of the story. They made me out to look really bad. My solicitor gave her side of the story. They went out and deliberated. They came back in 20, 30 minutes later, whatever it was. She winked at me again. And I was like, I can't believe this. Am I tripping out? Like, is this real, And anyway, the judge said, we can see that you're a changed man, Mr. Sargeant. We're going to give you an £80 court cost and a 1-year conditional discharge. You're free to go. And as soon as I walked out of the court, I was right. Star Magic. That's it. I'd given my word, like I'm kind of old school. I don't need a contract. If I give my word to something, that's it. I'm in 100%. So I'd given my word to the universe had delivered. So I knew that I had to go out and do it. And that was my commitment. So from that point onwards, that was 2015, I think it was. And then we started Star Magic in 2016. And from there, it's just been a beautiful, crazy ride. But yeah, that was the moment for me that sealed it.
I'm glad you brought that part up, because I know some of the audience, most know about your story, and I'm just really happy you were able to bring that up, because the soul that chose to embark in these wonderful experiences to authentically have this human experience and its depth, to also recognize the other parts of it that can call in, that shifts and changes the realities for the next expression of it, because we created these realities, we can create other realities. It's all within us. And that change that takes place within the shift, that that return of the true divine power comes back to create difference. And I just love that you brought that up, and thank you so much for that. And as we slowly wrap up, because I know you also have a meditation to teach, I know you're in Miami right now, then you're getting ready to travel. Tell us a little bit about some of your events right now and some of the ones that the participants, our audience, can engage in and register. If you would take it in that direction, that would be wonderful.
Yeah, of course. So the main things that we do, we train people to heal with star magic, because we're building our first healing center at the moment in Transylvania, in Romania. So we're training people to work in that. So you can come to, we've got facilitator training level 1, 2, 3, and 4. We do them online and in person. So the next online one is in May. The next in-person one is in the UK in September. And then we've got one in Sedona in November, an in-person one. And there's some other online ones as well. All of the information is on starmagichealing.com. Group healings are one of the most popular things that people come to. We do these 2-day group healings. We finished doing the 1-day ones now. So we do 2 days. So this weekend in Miami, this Friday and Saturday, from 12 till 6, both days. Day 1's focus is ancestral healing, past life healing. Day 2 is focused on Kundalini, Merkaba, pineal gland activation. So we get everybody in a big circle and we work on you with healing techniques from Star Magic, and the transformation is unreal. So we've got that this weekend, with them flying to Portugal to do a workshop, then to Romania to do another one. Then we've got our online trainings, level 1, 2, 3 in May and June. And then July and August, we're back to America, starting in Miami for 2 days. Then we're going to Atlanta, then Seattle, then Calgary, then LA, then Sedona. So we're going up, we're going to do New York as well. We're going up the East Coast, down the West Coast, each weekend doing a 2-day group healing. So it's like a sort of a mini American tour. That's going to be amazing. After that, we've got our biggest healing that we're going to do, which is 333 people in a circle in Costa Mesa in Southern California. There's loads of other events as well. We've got tons of online stuff. We've got something called Infinity, which has lots of guided meditations, light language transmissions, cosmic yoga videos, nutrition, masterclasses, a private Telegram group. It's like $30 a month. And access to all of this stuff. So, and you get 7 days free to check it out. There's loads of stuff going on our website. Just go to Star.
Link on this YouTube channel so that the audience will have easy access to it. That's fantastic. Thank you so much. And thank you for, again, the allowing, Jerry, because this is very important. You can receive, there's one thing to receive all of these, let's say, messages, visions, hearing, opening up, experiencing, going on the ships, coming, light language, all of that. There's another thing when you actually say yes and you commit in carrying it, however way that is. That's a whole another one. And it's just fantastic when we get to say yes, because there's this other part that begins to come in to carry this yes forward. And for those of us that have said yes, we just sit as an observer and also watch this, like the wow and the awe of it. The wow and the awe is truly magical, because the magic has returned back, and that's what's beautiful. So thank you so much for saying yes, and special thank you to all the audience that are saying yes to that notion that calls them from inside, because it never comes from outside anyway. So before closing, do you have any final words for the audience, dear Jerry?
Yeah, I suppose follow your heart. stand in that crystalline frequency, stand in that God, goddess energy, and just play life by your own rules. Don't follow the rules of other people. Don't believe everything that I say. Don't believe everything that Honi says. Question everything. Make sure it fits with you. It resonates with you. It's part of, your path and your plan. And just follow your heart, because your heart is your life compass, and it will always lead you in the direction of your dreams. And if you're fearful about anything, move towards it, because your heart is going to take you into realms that are going to challenge you and test you. It's the only way you're going to grow, so that you can go to the next level on your journey. So just be brave and go for it. Don't second guess anything. Just commit. Say yes, get stuck in, and enjoy the process, whatever happens. You got this. You got it.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Really, really, thank you so much. Deep gratitude for being available today, being so present, allowing your great presence to share its wisdom with us today. And thank you, beautiful audience, for being a witness today and allowing yourself to remember that in which you really are, and what really resonates with you, to take and toss out what doesn't. And most important part of Ascension journey I have found is this coming together and sharing. So if this video really touched you, inspired you, supported you in some way, please reshare it as soon as I post it, because it will assist in getting through this technology, this wisdom of frequency also be shared. So thank you so much, everyone. Blessed day to all of you. We're going to have Lucas Diamond next weekend. And Jerry, I had last week, the guest was John Ferris in Sedona. So he told me when he met you. So we got a chance on the show last week to talk a little bit about when you had gone to Sedona, I think it was a few years ago, starting your Star Magic, bringing it there, then you guys got a chance to meet. So he wanted me to say hi to you. So here's hello from, he's a beautiful man. So much love. Thank you, everyone. And thank you so much, beloved Jerry. So much love to you.